Yo.
Hello,
Yo.
hello. Oh, dude, Dorky's not here. This is great because usually Dorky's bit is he joins the call and then just says, "Where is everyone?" when everyone's already here. Is he not here? Dude,
Well, he's not keying right now.
Cats are the worst. Yeah, I mean, maybe a little cat nap. He knows to be here. We're gonna have to explain. Oh, he's here. Hello.
Yo, what up?
Yo, what up?
Yo, what up?
Yo,
Me, dorky guys.
Oh, why you guys copying me?
I was just in bed doing keys.
Oh, shit,
Equalizer is insane, honestly.
In bed. What up?
Yeah. I
What
grind
up?
while I sleep.
Wait, Dorky, say what up, Natty.
What up?
What up? What up? I can do it.
What up?
What up? That's the exact pitch. Okay. So first, I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to determine our drafting order. But first, I'm just going to go over a few ground rules. So here are the draft rules again, just to state them for everyone. Also, first off, just welcome everybody to the inaugural draft. We've actually never done one of these on stream before. It was Tettles' idea earlier. Super fun. We'll kind of go over how it's going to work because I think a lot of people watching this probably maybe haven't. I mean, we're all gamers. Maybe you guys haven't done like a fantasy sports draft or are just familiar with the concept. But we will kind of go over that. So the idea is we're all going to come up with 4 dungeons that we would like to bring back. So like, let's just say the War Within Season 2 is coming out, and they're going to have 4 of the War Within dungeons, and they're going to bring 4 dungeons back. We are basically all drafting what we think our best 4 to bring back would be, but none of us can pick the same one as someone else. And there are a few stipulations to make it a little bit more interesting. So you must, in your list, have 1 dungeon from Cat and Mop. You must have 1 dungeon from Wad and Legion. You cannot select any dungeon that has been brought back already, except for the mega dungeons being brought back in Season 4 before Dragonflight. You cannot select Dragonflight dungeons. Main reason being, in this expansion, they didn't bring back any Shadowlands dungeons, so I assume like they're going to not do the previous expansions dungeons as a potential selection. And then, obviously, I think it still seems like they'll never select a Classic through Wrath thing, and it just makes it a lot more complicated. So nothing Classic through Wrath. Also, no trades. In the future, you can do trades with this. Like, halfway through, you can make like 1 trade offer per to someone. They can choose to accept it or not. We're just for the first time doing this, we're just going to do no trades. And every time you are on the clock, you will have 2 minutes to deliberate what you want. You might not think this is a problem. Maybe you've made a little list in your head of stuff you'd want to select. But sometimes people can steal your pick right before you, and you really have to think, right? Like, if you have a dungeon you really want to select, but maybe there's only 1 or 2 Cat and Mop dungeons you really like, then you might want to make that selection now rather than like make a couple and then have someone steal the only ones you feel like are viable. The idea is at the end, we're going to try to have our best list that we can each create, and then chat, as usual, will vote on who they think had the best 4 dungeons that they would like to see in a season when accounting for all of them. Does everyone here, do all the contestants understand the task?
So outside of the 2 minutes to make a selection, we're gonna like after the selection is made, we're gonna talk about that dungeon just a bit as a group, right?
Yeah, we're not just gonna like select it and be like, okay, and then move to the next one. Like for example, what I imagine will happen is like Dratnos will select 1 dungeon, and then you were going next, and you really want to do it, and you just be like, dude, god fucking damn it, I can't believe you selected that dungeon. Like I was gonna select that. You know, that's very normal. You can also make the case and say like, I don't know about that, or like, oh yeah, that dungeon's good. I mean, part of like the content for the top 10s that I think when people are watching it, like, yeah, you might go for people's list, you see who wins, but I think a lot of the content is actually talking about why a dungeon would be good or bad to bring back, or whatever the topic is that day. So discussion is totally fine. When the discussion ends, we will start the 2 minutes for the next person and make that obvious. And I'll have it on screen as well. Any other questions? Dorky, do you understand this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you know.
No, he does not. Let's play. Let's play.
Well, it's fine. Well,
Can we like duel for the
there
pick?
are no dual.
If someone takes your pick, you gotta like fucking battle them.
Yeah. Battle them on top of ICC. What I have right now, I think the easiest way to do this is just a random number generator. Organize us 1 through 4. I'll generate this on screen, and then that will just determine the order. If it ever picks the same person twice, we'll just re-roll it until it picks all 4 in whatever order. I guess we could do the order that this guy made already. It would be me 1, Dratnos 2, Dorky 3, Tettles 4, as far as numbers.
What the hell? I'm 1.
Do you want to be 1?
We're gonna
Dorky?
roll
man.
It's fine. He doesn't get it. It's fine. Dorky will be 3. Dorky's 3. Okay, so those are the order, and then we are going to determine the order of the draft. Okay, so rolling first. First pick is. Wait, did it actually work?
Yeah.
Do you think it? Okay, it did work. Okay, so Dratnos is first. I just want to double check because I did click it and I didn't know if it like tabbed in, but it picked 2 again. So Dratnos, I'll put this down. Dratnos is picking first. Second is 3, which is Dorky. 3 is, let's see. It picked 2 again. 3 is... Come on, please. Come on.
This might be rigged.
Wait. Oh.
It's rigged against
Oh, no,
us.
it
It played
wasn't.
a 4 first.
It did 4 and
played
then
a
1. It
4,
did
1.
4 and then 1. Okay, so then it will be Tettles. I thought it was like fucking up and it could only pick 2 or 3, but that's just RNG for you. Okay, and then I am last. So this is a snake draft. So how this will work is you will do... so like it'll go Dratnos, Dorki, Tettles, me, and then it will go me again, then Tettles, then Dorki. That is the order. That is how snake drafts work. That was the thing I didn't know if you had done this before, Dorki. So Dorki, you do understand. And then also just to make it clear, when it goes back to Dratnos at 8, he will also be picking 9th. And it just goes like young snake draft. All right, cool. So those are the selections. Any questions before we begin? Yep. Okay, perfect. Let me pull up my little timer. The order again is Dratnos first. All right, Dratnos, you are on the clock.
All right, with my first pick, I'd like to select the Motherlode.
Okay.
That is an insane pick.
Yeah, I figured this was gonna come up early.
What the hell? You took my pick.
There's a banger dungeon, and in particular, this is a dungeon that was most griefed by affixes that are no longer either as bad or still in the game. So it's going to be even betterer when it comes back, if it comes back. So I think it's going to be a really strong, front runner to lead my team to victory.
Do you not think the first area of the Motherlode and the trash count issues in that dungeon are problematic? Do you think that they're going to
these can be
fix
changed?
those?
Trash count got changed in Blackrock Hold. The first area of the dungeon, like Grease Gun, I think was a pretty bad mechanic, but I think you fix that, and then you have a pretty cool area. All things equal.
Did you like the third boss that would kill your tank with the debuff over and over
Those
again?
sorts of like bosses like that
Well,
that
tanks
just
can't die to
murder
that
your
anymore.
tank are very much as well like think about Algathar Academy's Croth experience in season 1 versus season 4 like that. Those bosses being brutal for tanks is often also just like a how strong are tanks in this season type thing. I feel like if we had a boss like that coming back right now, it'd be easy.
Yeah.
Tanks were weak against magic damage before, but now
Yeah.
they have infinite defensives and they're like passively way tankier.
Would you make any
Way more
changes
self-sustained.
to Motherlode if you're like if they're revamping anything? Is it like are there any boss you're not happy with? I probably not the trash. The trash is like I think Motherlode's trash and how much option you have is one of the better things about it, right?
Yeah, I think that I would look at the count situation and make sure that you like if you hold W, you're gonna get about 100% count. You're not going to feel obligated to skip because the way it kind of worked is that there were 4 trash sections and you usually skipped at least one. What I would probably do is I would reduce some of the trash density of the whole place, and then that would hopefully make it so that you get 100% count with holding W. And then if you wanted to, you could still skip an area and pull more stuff in any one area. But honestly, like that dungeon was more balanced than people I think in Pugs thought. Like in Pugs you would always skip the end of the dungeon, but the end of the dungeon was actually good count. That was underrated.
I think that dungeon benefited the most. Maybe that one and like a Taldazar benefited the most by Awakened, just in general.
Yeah, it was a great Awakened dungeon, that's true, but a great affix.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that could easily be fixed though. We just need to make the third boss area a little bit better.
Yeah, I think that trash is pretty offensive. The chemists and stuff, the ones that like float around on the jetpacks.
Those guys were
Yeah, that was like an always skip area. That's true. That would be a good target to nerf a little.
Yeah,
Aside from all that, it's an all-time dungeon.
Yeah, all-time bang. I mean, also wasn't Motherlode like super high on like our best dungeons of all time? So super not surprising to see that here. I wonder if just in general, how do you guys feel about dungeons having like 300% more count than you need versus like having exactly the count and you have to kill everything in front of you? Like, what's the mix you like there? Do you like a ton of options or do you think it's like a little convoluted too?
I think the dungeon has to be open concept for you to have options.
Yeah, as long as you don't like go way over count by holding W, it's fine. So like I think Motherlode is an example of a way that it can work, although I think it was a little bit too like you would go a little bit too overcount by holding W, but there are some dungeons like Temples of Thralis or whatever where you'd hold W in that place, you get 150% count. That's really bad because that like makes the casual groups even more behind the groups doing all the skips and stuff.
Yeah.
But I love it when it's like, oh hey, you get 100% by holding W, but if you want to skip the end, you can do more at the start. Like that sounds great.
Yeah, it's got to be both.
Okay. Dorki, you are on the clock.
Gambit, then.
God fucking damn it! I knew it wasn't gonna last until.
Oh, did I steal your pick?
Yeah, dude. Like I feel like
there it is.
I feel like this. Oh,
Blame Dratnos for that one.
Yeah, I mean, also this is. I feel like this. Okay, maybe you guys feel differently. I feel like Motherlode and Gambit were like when you're looking at a draft in most sports leagues, there's like usually like 2 players that stand out above all else, or sometimes it's 5. Sometimes like this year the NBA draft is super weak, but like I feel like this draft had 2 super bangers. So going first or second, my theory will be, and maybe this is cope, I think will be like super OP, and will be very sad that
I can't believe you've already started justifying the loss.
Yeah, I'm already mad. I'm already
There's
mad.
only like 2 free picks, right? Like other picks are not as free, right? Basically.
Yeah, exactly. These were 2 that you imagine were coming off the board right away. Well, I think also there's some merit to like selecting early Katamop, Legion, Wad, because there actually are not a lot of good ones of those, if that makes sense. And there's like probably more reason. Like when we get to each one of our 3rd and 4th picks, you're gonna have to pick some dungeons that are not slam dunks, right? So like you kind of can put yourself in the position to have less of those on your list. But that being said, it wouldn't surprise me if the list that ended up winning this was the one that had Motherlode or Gambit on it, but who knows. Anyways, what do you guys like? I mean, we've talked about this was also a #1. I think this the #1 overall point getter on our best Mythic Plus dungeon list. Like this is a certified banger.
I think this shares a lot in common with Motherlode, actually. Very much similar to everything that could be said about Motherlode.
First trash area in there is really, really good. Probably the best out of, honestly, any dungeon. Like that one in Freehold maybe are my top 2 favorite like trash designs out of any key ever.
Hard agree. And it only exist in Mythic Plus in Season 3 and Season 4 of Shadowlands, which were, like, in my opinion, the best seasonal affix ever in Encrypted, and Shrouded is, like, top 4. I think I've heard people argue that they thought Shrouded was the best one. So, like, it also had the benefit of existing twice ever, and both times it really high rolled a seasonal, which I think matters a lot, too.
Maybe that means it'll do worse, though, if it comes out, comes forward, right? If it always had star players around it.
True, but like, I feel like how much worse can it be affected if there's no seasonal, right? Like, no seasonal affix is the great equalizer, where it's just like, what it's going to be. It would be more like if there was still seasonals, could it be ruined by an awful one? Like for example, would the beginning of Gambit with Infested sound fun? Like, probably not, right? Like, that would ruin that dungeon, right? Like, that would be horrible.
Yeah.
Well, but it's more about no affix, right? 'Cause I mean, like...
Yeah,
we're just saying, just in general, like, it just benefited from good seasonals. But also, I mean, no one's going to argue against Gambit. I'm actually really surprised it was not the first pick. Like, I think, in my personal opinion, I think picking Motherlode over Gambit is insane. I think Gambit
That's right.
Nah, that's not it.
You gotta keep unpredictability out there. You gotta be surprising.
You don't need to be surprising with the first pick.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you got to.
Yo, so you're in our heads now. Like the next time I'm picking right, or Dorki's picking right before you when it comes back around, you're gonna be in his head, right? Like you have no idea.
I do. I am in his head. He was gonna take Motherlode.
Yeah, he's trying to take my picks.
Yeah.
Dorki, would you have taken Motherlode over Gambit?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's right.
That is insane. I would never.
That's insane to me. Yeah, I would take Gambit over Motherlode.
See, I think Gambit was a good pick, but I like screwing with him.
Yeah. You guys can duel each other then.
Yeah.
Me and Dratnos has it going on right now.
That's right.
1-on-1.
Yeah, man, I think it's gonna be so hard to beat Urals, but it's just fine. You guys are gonna get out. All good. Tettles, you are on the clock.
All right, I'll take. All right, I'll explain the pick before I take it. First off, so our rules are you have to take one dungeon from WoD or Legion.
Correct.
I think that most of the Legion dungeons have already been gone through, so you actually can't pick very many of those.
Yep.
Pretty much all the Warlords dungeons that are left are trash, so you don't really want to pick those either. So I'm taking Eye of Ashara.
Yeah.
I'm taking EOA because that's one of the very few Legion dungeons you can take, and it's not that bad.
Yeah, this is why I think the stipulation of the rules is good, because if you just made it of all dungeons, it'd be a lot less interesting. But it is you taking one of these early is really, really smart. And also, I think Dratnos had Eye of Ashara in your top 10, right? Best dungeons ever?
Yep, I think Eye of Ashara was a good pick.
I think the open format of the dungeon, I'm just in general, like, I'm a big fan of open concept dungeons that let you kind of pull what trash you want. Those have always been my favorite, personally. And so I think that, like, Eye of Ashara, it's definitely one of my favorite
felt
Legion
fake,
dungeons.
though. It didn't really feel like you had an open concept of what you could pull. It realistically felt like, all right, you fought the minimum amount of trash in the first boss area, second boss area, third boss area, and then just killed as many, what do you call them, grabs as possible.
Yeah.
Like, I remember because it came back to TGP, right? And we got to actually play that dungeon. And
was the route solved, do you think, though?
It was like pretty damn solved super quick. Because I mean, granted, it was like, it was a super short moment where we got to play at like a super high level, right? And it felt like people have figured it out extremely quick, and there was nothing really too special about it. It was just like fight minimal trash, do as many crabs as possible.
What do you think about the like boat skip thing Would that be something that you would take out if you were bringing it back or leave in?
Dude, having to like traverse the entire Murloc cave or whatever kind of sucks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's like, I mean, that now we're talking about a dungeon where it's just like you skip half of it with a clearly unintended skip.
Yeah, I don't like EOA, but that's just me.
Dude, I think Tettles is throwing. I think your strategy.
What Legion dungeon are you picking, man? All right, shut up and pick then.
I mean, I don't think there's a
Alright,
lot of
alright.
good ones from Wad and Legion, but
fair.
like Ivashara is so like I don't know. I feel like
Picking Blood Maul Slag Mines, like really? Like what are we picking here?
Blood Maul's not bad, yeah. But I mean, I'm not on the clock yet, man. I just think Ivashara again. This is actually we talked about this when Dratnos picked it. I hate that it appears open with so much choice and it actually doesn't. And boat skip was super annoying. Remember how much, by the way, speaking of like Everbloom, a dungeon they brought back, it can't be picked. Remember how when it was announced it was going to come back, I remember thinking like, wow, this dungeon's so good. I think people are going to really like Everbloom. And then people were just like, no. And the only thing they mentioned was that little mount skip on the hill right at the beginning. It was like, I swear that lives so rent-free in people's heads. And like Ivashara had that just as bad, you know? The fact that you could never really go right was a problem, but you could also make the argument, and people can account for this in their picking, that, you know, you could say something like, I wish they made that cave to the right at the beginning actually a realistic option. Very similar to like, hey, I would pick Brackenhide, but, you know, but also you actually can go left, and it's an interesting choice, right? So I don't know.
I think the mob like the trash mechanics are actually part of the thing that makes EOA interesting too. The fact that they're not like so overloaded with mechanics. I feel like a lot of the trash packs that we fight in M+ today are just like, they just have so many mechanics, man.
How do you like having to
Yeah,
kill all of that
it's
trash
fucking
before the
modern
snake,
dungeons.
you know?
Oh, you're talking about the first boss?
No, the
Serpentrix or whatever.
yeah, Serpentrix. Did that boss have a spawning condition with a certain amount of things being dead, or did you have to clear it because there was no room?
You know, you only have to clear it to not butt pull stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you'd always pull the seagull in the middle of the fight and wipe because it would blind your tank and kill your group.
Okay, those could go away. You can eliminate those. I would not keep the seagulls.
Okay, I'm on the clock. It's enough stalling for me. So I've thought about this a lot, and I think now I have the opportunity to be strategic. I don't think there's a ton of banger like BFA Shadowlands dungeons. There's certainly some good ones, but I think the only way that Tettles and I have a chance to compete with you two having Gambit and Motherload on a having 4 dungeons is we have to just snag some of the only good ones from Catamop, Wad, and Legion. But the only problem is, I think the pick I want to make for Wad and Legion is going to require some convincing. And I think all of you would think it's a great pick, but I think chat would look at it and be like, I don't remember having a great time in there. So I'm kind of just, I'm thinking.
You gotta stick to the courage of your convictions, man. You can't just be a people pleaser.
You
I already
are
know
the
what he's saying.
worst people, please. Okay.
I already know what he's gonna say.
And there's
He's
already
so real for that.
there's already so like also like Kata and Mop, for example. I feel like choosing Mop dungeons will please the people more than choosing Kata, even though Mop dungeons fucking suck. It's just people just remember that more fondly. It was a good time. I don't know. I'm in my own head right now. I'm in between 2 picks, but I think I'm knowing who's going after me because it is a snake. It's gonna be me twice here. I have 2 choices. Okay. I'm gonna
Cohen, I think,
I'm
is
gonna
what he's-
I'm
is
gonna
what
do
he's
my
mulling
first
over.
pick of Cathedral, the Eternal Night.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that is going to be my selection from Wad and Legion. I think Cathedral is fucking insane. I think it's one of the best, and I think it's easily the best Wad and Legion dungeon you could pick. People who had a bad time in this dungeon, it was a little overtuned initially, but oh shit. I gotta make sure to stop the timer when I make picks. That shit is so loud. I absolutely love this, and I think you guys who you made the correct decision by picking Gambit and Motherload, but I think you are going to have a really tough time. And Tettles, we can kind of fuck them. You know what I mean?
I'm down to take back
Yeah.
Legion dungeons.
Yeah, like I feel like we can turbo grief them and just hope that their list can survive off of the fact that they have Motherload and Gambit, and that's like kind of the only chance we have.
We'll have fun with back-to-back Legion dungeons.
That's some turbo collusion though. Okay, so do you guys have any Cathedral thoughts, by the way? Are you guys on the same plane? Do you guys think Cathedral's good?
I think Cathedral's in general pretty good, especially how it was at the end of Legion. I do think there was some problems with like having to pylon skip, and that dungeon was really weird in Legion. It had some count problems, but I don't think it's anything that they can't shore up with modernization. I feel like this is one of those things that doesn't take a lot of effort from Blizzard to make it less annoying.
Yeah. It's one of the best like narrative dungeons as well because you got Illidan up there in the last fight. That fight is like sick as well. It's good.
You have a lot of
Great dungeon.
choice too. You don't have to just kill it. Like if you W key Cathedral, you end up with count, but there is actually a lot of choices you can make to like kill extra stuff at the beginning. If you remember near the end of the season, MDI stuff, you actually skipped that entire first like mini boss with all that trash at the beginning. You could get all of the trash later. You could just instantly, well, rest in peace, Skystep potions. But you could like Skystep with your group all the way to the right, skip all of that RP. You could do some like crazy skips. I don't know. I just think it's like a ton of options. Really, really cool dungeon. All right.
Yeah.
What are you gonna say, Dork?
Part of the reason why you were able to skip so much trash was because of that one area where you could kill all like the worms or
imps?
whatever.
Talking
Yeah,
about
the imps.
area?
Yeah, I think it was like imps. Yeah, it's like the little shitters that just run up. I forgot what they were. And you had to like just like CC them all and Ring of Peace and stun them and kill them before they run through into the portal or whatever. That part was kind of dumb, which they would probably have to fix.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
You guys remember the haste shield thing as well?
I mean, they fixed that, right? The Warlock
Yeah.
MC on the haste shield. That was sick.
Okay, I know it's a big balance problem, but I actually miss when there were like really unique and cool like spell steals and stuff that people like warlocks and archway and stuff like that. Like it isn't balanced, and I know in today's day and age, like even a lot of that stuff that people liked in Legion wouldn't be okay nowadays, because even like the whole like tier listy what is the best class has become a lot worse since the pandemic, especially. But I actually kind of miss that. Like you could spell steal a spider as a mage in lower Kara, and then you could go like in a different, you could go down a different route, and I don't know. I just think stuff like that is really sweet. Okay, I'm on the clock again. Man,
Is this a strategic pick or is this a vibes pick here?
I can be
Who's the clock
strategic.
for?
So what?
why do we have a clock?
Because you just have 2 minutes to make a selection. These are not going to be super relevant early in the draft, but you can just take the whole time to talk out your choice or think it out in your head. But like when we get to the very, very end, you're going to have to soul search a little bit to get a good choice.
Oh no, I don't need a single timer. Just give me 5 seconds and I'm done.
So hypothetically, like if your timer was counting down and then everybody else was asking you annoying procedural questions and distracting you, would that be a good strategy to make your draft worse?
You could do that.
It's good. He has ADHD. He has
Yeah,
bad
you
ADHD.
could
It's
do
good
that.
for
I
us.
mean, I'm deciding whether I want to take one of the like 3 really, really good non-criteria dungeons, or whether
what
I want,
happens if you run out of time?
or whether I want to. I mean, you just have to make a
killed.
pick at the end. I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess if I just took 5 minutes and didn't pick, you could like kill me. Yeah, you die. That's the thing. There are
Jesus
2 really, really good kata and mop dungeon selections, and I think the obvious one, I'm gonna make it. So my second choice will be my kata and mop. We're going with strategic. I am taking the Lost City of Tolvir. I think this is without a doubt the best dungeon available to make into a Mythic Plus dungeon from kata and Mist of Pandaria. It is the best one. Absolutely fucking owns. Dorky, you hadn't actually done that. You did Lost City on Kata Classic recently, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, actually, oh shit. I know.
The
wait,
thing is,
Tettles, I'm gonna message you. I know what Dorky's other favorite Kata dungeon is.
shit. Yeah, the thing is, like, I don't even know what the hell the mechanics are in these kind of dungeons. I just like, I like him for Furies. I like him because like, oh, this dungeon gives a lot of EXP, therefore it's good. Or like, it's got a lot of mobs and big numbers. Those are like the big reasons why these kata dungeons feel good, because like it's impossible to know what the mechanics are when everything just kind of dies and you kind of just like go through them without really thinking about it.
What about the last boss, where you have to like stand in the thing, you get knocked in the air, the lightning guy up on the roof?
I had no idea what the hell was going on. It was weird as hell.
All right, well, it fucking owns. I think maybe if they do something, was the little alligator guy in there? Is that an optional boss, or is that like a boss? Do you guys know? Like if that would actually?
I think that's optional.
Yeah, I wonder if that would be like a new age mini boss. Like they would make that into an optional mini boss area where you can pull him for extra count, or I wonder if they would make it like a required. I think I would if I were to make the suggestion, I think I would go mini boss route. Also, there's a ton of different ways for count in that dungeon. There's a bunch of mobs. I have no idea exactly how much count they would require, but it's one where you could W key or you could grab other ones. But all right, those are my 2. So now I'm free reign for the rest of the time. Tettles, are you ready to start your selection?
Yeah, I think similar to you. I have to pick between kata and mop.
I mean, you don't really have. Just think about it. You're not picking for another 1, 2. The timer has started, by the way, so you could think I'm distracting you or helping you. 1, 2, 3, 4 selections will be made until you can pick again, and you could potentially get fucked on other ones too.
I guess what I don't know. Is it like the people will hate this dungeon so much that they don't vote for
I
you,
mean,
or is it?
here's I think what you should do. I think everyone should make a pick, just like what Dratnos said, to your own conviction. Like, you would basically stand by your 4 and be like, if they brought this into a season, that would be great. That's better.
Right,
and
I'm picking Halls of Atonement. All right.
Okay. Early.
I think Halls of Atonement's like a pretty good dungeon. I don't think it's like that great. Just in general, but I do think it's better than some of the other potential options for them to bring back. I think that like the trash design, kind of similar to Eye of Ashara, I think the trash design is more or less what made this dungeon fun for me. It's like big pulls. I'm a monkey DPS. I like to do big dam, and so Halls of Atonement was fun in that way.
It's definitely a good pick. It was one of the few, I think, non-criteria dungeons that was an obvious good selection.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
I was actually gonna be one of my picks.
I think it had some problems, like the trash after the first boss area that everybody always skipped would be something I think would be good to like change if they brought it back. But
the decurse I also think is really bad.
Yeah, hopefully that's something that is also like so that's something they could handle, and obviously the gargoyles as well. They'd have to decide what they wanted to do in a world without covenants.
I mean, yeah.
For the village, you would just be able to like anyone can do it, right?
Yeah, that would be a fine answer.
I was about to say, like, is this dungeon actually even better than a lot of people remember, because it only ever existed with like kind of not great affixes, right? Like, one season it had encrypted, but the other two were like pretty not great, right? I guess it depends on your opinion on Prideful.
Prideful was so bad in here.
Yeah, I remember you would just jump off the side after you spawned your pride in high keys. I think this was not a particularly good encrypted dungeon, though. Like, you didn't really get to do much cool stuff. I guess you could woe instead of Shroud, the second boss, but I don't think it's one that we're like misremembering because of the seasonals so much.
Dude, I think this is so interesting because Dorki, and it depends on how targeted Dorki and Dratnos want to be. If they feel like they want to box each other out or box me or Tettles, because if you guys choose Mop and Kata dungeons with your next 4 picks, Tettles absolutely loses. But then like if you spent like, it's not even close, like, you were fucked. Or if you choose you could fuck me by picking the like really really good non-criteria dungeons too. But obviously you have to like make your own list good as well. I think Halls is such an easy banger choice. Is there also underrated? I really like the second boss in Halls, the little gargoyle guy. I think that's like a super unique, really cool fight.
Yeah, that was the biggest offender for like decurse, right? Was that fight? But
I think you just make that a magic dispel, and then it's
yeah
a lot different of a mechanic.
Yeah, but it's got to be the curse of stone, because like it's a gargoyle.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
It could just be the magic of stone.
Yeah.
I mean, the easy solution would just make it so that there's like some way of breaking it. I don't know, like if you step in a puddle or some shit, it breaks it.
Oh yeah, that's also fine. Like you stand in the blood puddle and then
Okay, Dorki, I won't even start the timer because you said you only need 5 seconds.
Yeah, Stone Core, because
Nice.
that's my favorite Kata dungeon. I think it's cool as hell.
Stone Core's good.
You just go in there, you're fast leveling. It's a wide open dungeon. There's a lot of mobs, and it feels very much like a dungeon. It's got a very dungeony vibes.
Yep.
Aside from that, I don't even know what anything does in there because it's a Kata dungeon. But it felt good to just kill shit.
I think they would have to change. Do you know, like, before you pull the last boss, there's just like 100 little small mobs you pull that do like absolutely nothing. I think that would probably look different in a current Mythic Plus day and age. That's what made me pick Tolvir over Stonecore, because I wonder if they make that like a bunch of dangerous packs, or if they still let it be kind of like an RP thing you do before.
Oh, if they do that, they're such party poopers, man.
Yeah. But also it has one of the best boss lines ever, right? The break yourself. I think Dorki probably started playing too late to have heard the 2013 EDM remix of Break Yourself Upon My Body.
I've never heard it before.
There's an EDM remix of that?
I mean, I think that was like the original one. They're like, break yourself. Was it not EDM? It's a banger. You guys can check it out. Frank will put it in the video right now.
Break yourself, break yourself, break yourself upon my body. Break yourself, break yourself, break yourself upon my body. Break yourself, break yourself, break yourself upon my body.
Frank will find it. He'll know.
Dude, I know a lot of the super OG WoW musics. Like Big Blue Dress and God, there were like a bunch super OG WoW music video stuff.
So I wonder if Dorki and Dratnos are colluding here, but they seem to be on the. Wait, Dorki, was that a strategic boxing out other people pick? Why did you feel like you had to go for Kata early? Do you feel like you already had a banger non-criteria?
Probably.
Or did you just think it was the best dungeon on the board?
I just pick whatever I think is cool.
All right, word.
He's so real for that.
All right, Dratnos, what is your selection?
All right. Things are definitely, you know, the plan hasn't really survived you guys picking dungeons. That's been not good for me.
Yep.
Would have been nice if you guys had just not picked any good dungeons.
Wait, what got stolen from you?
Much of the stuff that's on your guys' lists were ones that were on my short list. So I'm looking at Legion and WAD now, trying to figure out how I'm going to get my Legion WAD dungeon. And I'm a little concerned. I feel like I have to do it in this round because Dorki's going to get a take.
I mean, you have 2 picks in a row, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got 2 in a row.
But so one of them is going to have to go, I think, into a Legion WAD one. I don't have anything that I really love of my options, so I think I'm going to go with Vault of the Wardens.
Wow.
I hate that key. I think that dungeon is so bad.
No, Vault is good. Vault is good. I
think it's
like
not
the
that
pick.
bad of a dungeon. Like, I think this is a candidate for
Actual prison.
one of the dungeons that you could make like 4 changes to when you're revamping it, when you're revitalizing it, and it gets a lot better, right? Like, if you think about Vault of the Wardens, it's a dungeon with like specific pain points that I don't know, like Tettles, what do you hate about Vault of the Wardens? Is it the whole place, or are there certain spots where you're like, ugh?
The entire first trash before the first boss is like the biggest issue for me.
Yeah, and that like the little figure 8 area with the mini boss.
The design of those trash mobs, I think, is incredibly bad. They could rework all of that trash to be better.
I mean, that trash is like current trash, you know, like with the amount of stuff it does.
Yes,
That's
it
a
is
good
like
point.
current trash.
That's why it's awful.
So I mean, it would probably
The whole
work.
end area too.
I think this is a good pick.
Where you have to like carry the light, and then you have to stand next to the.
Yeah, like that could get a
mobs in order to hit 'em.
clunkiness overhaul, right? Like that area is a clunky thing that could be made a lot less clunky pretty easily, I think. Like, you just take the extra action button off of it and make just everybody like have some moonlight or whatever.
Max, do the fans know about your elevator incidents in there?
Oh, no, they don't. I'm actually surprised you remember that. It's basically just there's a few dungeons where you can't, or like certain people's game is like out of sync with the server, and like you can't see elevators at the same. Have you guys ever run into this in any like raid or trash, specifically in the call, where like you or someone on your team always misses elevators because they just don't show up, or they're
Talon
like
was like this
desync?
too.
yeah, they're like
Talon was like
desynced,
this
yeah.
bad too.
So this happened to Lip during our MDI. So we would do the MDI at the end of Legion, and we got Vault of the Wardens a few times, and every single time Lip was like 20 seconds late to one of our polls because he always had to like wait for the elevator to be on his screen where it was actually there, and then yeah, it was weird. Unfortunate. I actually forgot about that. All right, Dratnos, you're on the clock
All
again.
right, things are again tricky.
The next
Difficult
pick you
times
have
for
after
me.
this is the last pick of the draft, by the way.
Yeah, so I have to take a mop dungeon at some point, or a mop or kata dungeon. But Max has already taken one. Dorki's already taken one. So I only have Tettles'
Unless
unless you guys take extras.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, which could happen. But I actually have like 2 candidates that I think I can pick there. So I don't think I'm going to get yoinked, and I'm not super thrilled about them. But I'm also not thrilled about anything else. I don't know. I'm looking through all these dungeons and all these old pools, and there's not really a lot of great stuff available.
Some beans dungeons.
There's a lot of the good stuff has already been brought back, right? Like, you look at the BFA list, and it's like Atal'Dazar, Freehold, Wakecrest Manor, Underrod. It's like, oh, these have all already been brought back, right?
All the Legion dungeons have been brought back too. That's the issue, right?
Yeah, the Legion dungeons have also, like, Halls of Valor would have been a one that I would have loved to have, but obviously that's already been brought back, so not allowed. I know there is another Legion dungeon that is going to get picked probably by Max at some point, but, well, maybe, but...
Really? Oh, okay.
I feel like Seat. I feel like you're likely to take Seat at some point, but I don't really want to.
I mean, even if you strongly felt convinced of that Seat would be one of the best 4 dungeons in a season, you would immediately lose the vote. No question.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
right?
you put Seat in your pool, you're gonna get yelled at.
Yep. Even if you're
I'm
right.
gonna go with Tazavesh Streets of Wonder. I think this is a
that's
dungeon
good.
where, like, this dungeon, I like this dungeon a lot. I know that you guys have the people have a lot of problems with this dungeon, but a lot of those problems are like concentrated in first boss, which is again like easy to fix. That dungeon's cool. Dungeon's fun. Tazavesh is sweet, and the last boss is like incredible. That's a really fun boss in this place. Definitely could see like the music event thing getting like an overhaul. That would be cool. And first boss also. First boss area. would be good. But you know, last boss is strong enough, I think, and the vibe of this place is strong enough that I'm choosing it.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good choice. I'm actually looking at this. I think you could make the argument that how competitive Kata, Wad, Mop, Legion stuff, like, that is... There are not that many good ones from Shadowlands and BFA left, right? So I think that's really strong. That's probably... I mean, that was near the top of my list for, like, non-criteria dungeons. It's definitely good. So, wait, that means you are leaving your...
Yeah. If you guys want to take a bunch of Kata Mop ones with your free picks, you know, go ahead. Get me.
I kind of like it, but I think you actually chose pretty well, right? Because, like, I mean, I guess we'll wait to see. But you were, like, kind of last to pick there, so it's possible that you still get the one you want in your next pick, right? Unless we choose to specifically grief you by potentially...
Yeah, I mean, if you want to just take the every single viable dungeon from those expansions, but the thing is, like, I don't actually think there's that much of a gap between, like, the third best Mop and Kata dungeon and the, like, eighth best, so I don't really care that much if you guys take positions 3 through 7.
Dude, I actually like your list a lot. I think, but the thing is I think Vault is good, and I think half of chat is gonna think Vault is dog shit. But I think
that's fair.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
I mean, I think it was just hard to come up with a non-bad looking pick from the other options are like Upper Kara or something.
Dude, yeah,
you know?
something like that.
Yeah, there is not there. Yeah,
Blood Maul Slag Mines, Ubers.
All the WoD dungeons, I think, are... I don't think I'm giving up anything strategy-wise by saying I think all of the WoD dungeons that are remaining are just complete fucking trash.
You can make an argument that Iron Dock should be allowed, right? Because that was in the same season with the Mega Dungeons.
I don't know.
Can try and
it was brought back.
You can make an argument to the referee.
You could make an argument. I think we said that season 4 Shadowlands doesn't count for the Mega Dungeons discluding.
Yeah,
them.
exactly. So in theory, it shouldn't count for those either.
But it feels like it should. But yeah, I guess you're right.
I feel like if one could argue with enough indignation that you'd be able to, we would let you.
The person who made this spreadsheet did not put on Iron Docks and Grimrail, so the final decision has been made.
That's a good tiebreaker.
All right, here we go. Dorki, you were on the clock.
We'll pick Maw of Souls.
Okay.
Man of the people.
This is definitely a people-pleasing
like
pick rather than a good pick.
Yeah.
What the hell? It's not a good pick? How's Maw of Souls not a good pick?
I think Maw of Souls is a fine pick. I think there are other dungeons as good or better, but it's one that people farmed for AP a lot instead of, like, actually doing the dungeon.
Okay, but it's like the best Legion dungeon. Like, what else I'm gonna pick from Legion?
Bro,
Fucking
doing
Arcway, Lamau.
I mean, for your actual pick right there, I guess, but, like, okay, doing like, even with current trash expectations, people would absolutely fucking hate after you kill the first boss in the ship. They'd fucking hate it. They'd be like, why the fuck is this in Mythic Plus? And for the exact same way as they hate, like, the Splinter on the Waycrest Manor boss. Same shit.
Wait, for what?
It's fucking ass. The trash after the first boss in Maw of Souls. Like, in the ship before you fight
you mean the ship. Oh.
Yeah, like, in the ship before you fight the second boss.
I mean,
Do you remember the lantern guy?
Yeah, the fucking
guy was
lantern guy.
impossible.
Bro, that lantern guy
Well, I mean, the only thing hard about him was that it was a healing check, right?
I don't agree with this. I think this pick is bad, but I think it's bad for different reasons than Max does. I think the trash design is really bad with all the frontals in such a small corridor. Like, it's impossible to play melee in here. People just forget that because they were only doing it on, like, a 7 or whatever.
No, yeah, it wasn't just that. The fucking barrels, too, that would just roll by and just fucking blow people up.
Yeah, that's a garbage mechanic.
sick.
Like, they would have to remove all the frontals, I think.
But I think the lantern guy is actually good. Like, it lets healers actually have fun because, you know, healers don't really like having fun, but it gives them that moment of, like, oh, look, I'm doing something, I'm healing.
I think Maw stinks, but I think that the people in chat will vote for Maw, so I think it is a good selection. So yeah, I don't penalize you. I think you made the right choice. Okay, Tettles, you're on the clock.
Do you let me pick Scarlet Monastery or not?
Yeah.
Would you let me pick Scarlet Monastery?
I think so.
It's a Mop dungeon, right?
If you tune into people playing Kata Classic I guess not Kata Classic, but yeah, if you tune into people playing Mop Remix right now, they're doing it. It counts.
Yeah, I'll take Scarlet Monastery. I think that there can actually be something interesting done with Scarlet Monastery. I think that there's a world where we can have a dungeon that's slower than 30 minutes. Scarlet Monastery would have to be, you know, probably like an 18 to 20 minute dungeon, but I think that there's a world where you can actually make a dungeon that is that short and could make it quite interesting. It would, of course, require a lot of reworking, but they've proven that they're, like, completely down to rework dungeons in a significant way.
I think. How do you feel about Scarlet?
Lower than 30 minutes would be insane, though, right?
How do you feel about Scarlet Monastery versus Scarlet Halls, just like as dungeons?
Bro, it's the same shit.
I think it's about the same to me. Yeah.
I think Scarlet Hall's like a little shorter, right? Oh no, I guess they're both really short.
I kind of liked the openness of Monastery to the point where you could actually like go left or right and pull different mobs, and you could in theory create different trash packs that feel slightly different.
I wonder how many mobs they would add after the second boss in Scarlet Monastery in the cathedral before you can actually touch the last boss.
Okay, well, don't be cringe like that.
I mean,
But
it's
yeah.
something to think about. I think there'd be some extra boys in there. That's all.
Yeah, it's like the Temple of the Jade Serpent thing where the door opens and there's just 3 extra packs that weren't there on the beta or something.
Okay, man, I have some options here. So if I think Dorki is most, God, I forgot to turn off the fucking timer again. It's so loud.
Beep, beep,
Enjoy
beep, beep.
editing that out, Frank.
Yep, beep 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 beep. Yeah. I think Dorky's gonna win the popular chat vote already, no matter what. So I could just grief my own list to get other people. I guess I'll start my timer because I'm just stalling, right? Like I could basically grief Dratnos, but even then, like I'm looking, and even if I choose 2 cat and mop dungeons, I can see a third one that's like not that bad. Dorky already has his Kata. He has both of his criteria dungeons, and he can pick just the best out of those. The question is how many like actually good ones left. Like I think Shrine of the Storms, for example, is really, really good. But again, it's like the opposite of Maw of Souls, right? Like Shrine of the Storm is an actual good dungeon that would make people not vote for your list. So it's like the
You should
opposite.
just pick Shrine of the Storm and Seat of the Triumvirate and just,
and
tell chat.
well,
like,
Seat, I actually don't think I think Seat was overrated, but I don't think like if they brought Seat back, it'd be an automatic banger. I think that dungeon had problems for sure.
I think that dungeon was just overtuned, and I can't tell what's being rewritten in my mind because it was just so overtuned. Like, how bad was it really? I have no idea.
Dude, there's a couple of dungeons that I don't even know if the approval rating for these is going to be super good, but I think are just dungeons that I always enjoyed doing. But I already think I'm losing, so I think if I'm gonna lose, I might as well lose on my own terms and put dungeons that I fucking truly stand behind.
Yeah, because if you lose after trying to people please, that's a double whammy.
Yeah, true. Fucking Dorky.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Dude, if Dorky loses this, I'm gonna fucking flame him forever. All right.
I'm gonna do that whether or not
You're
he
about to
loses.
get lost on.
What? Okay. All
Like,
right.
I'm about to like lose all over your ass.
What?
What is bro saying?
What does that mean? What could that mean? All right, I am voting for Workshop.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think it's a huge banger, but I think of all the dungeons remaining, I think the third boss is one of the best dungeons in all of Mythic Plus. I think the last boss is great. I think the trash and like everything leading up to the second boss area is flawed, but I just don't think there's a lot of really good dungeons after. Oh, do I have to stop the timer? Oh, I did stop it. I think Workshop is great. But I also don't think there's a lot of other good selections here, besides maybe picking more Kata and Mob stuff. But I kind of want to spite Dorky and just take as many non-criteria dungeons as I can. What do you guys think about Workshop?
That's an L dungeon.
You don't like Workshop?
It was alright.
What do you not like
think
about Workshop?
It was just a little too samey. Like you do the same shit over and over. There's
I
nothing
thought
you
the
really do
scroll
different.
bombing was also pretty stupid.
I will say I like the third boss. The third boss was cool.
That
I
was
guess
a
the
good
last
boss.
boss was kind of cool too. Yeah.
I think
Need more banger bosses like that.
I think that like Gambit, Streets, what are the other ones, like Halls of Atonement? Like I think that is like I guess obviously Motherlode was the number 1 selection of the non-criteria dungeons. Those are the only like very obvious, publicly agreeable, and also like actually good selections. I think the list gets very, very dry after that. With my second pick, again, I think I've already lost just from Dorky's first 3, so I'm gonna go down with one that I think would be a little different. So Cathedral of the Eternal Night is a longer. I'll start my timer. Cathedral of the Eternal Night is like a little bit longer dungeon. It's got a lot of trash in it. Lost City of the Tolvir has more than a few bosses in it, potentially a mini boss as well. Upper, there's like a decent amount of RP and travel time between different wings, and there's also that like required RP trash pack. There's not like a lot of, I don't know, like just kind of quick. Man, this pick would also be like kind of similar to Workshop, but also I think it's one of the like few really good ones. Actually, I'm interested to see if you guys will even think it's good. Oh man, or do I just take another WoD and Legion? Because I think there is another good WoD and Legion one actually. But maybe that is not true. I'll tell you what I would have picked after. I'm gonna take Upper Karazhan.
Damn, he took both uppers.
Both uppers.
Yep. We're playing uppers, Lost City of
Uppies. Uppies.
Tolvir, and Cathedral. That's my final choice.
That is also another very samey dungeon.
Except at the beginning, you don't walk up the stairs. You just like start in front of that first little trash pack. I don't know. This is just.
Upper, I think, is like it's interesting because it's so different than other Mythic Plus dungeons in the sense of like this is more like a boss rush style dungeon where you end up spending a lot of your time actually just.
It feels more like
bosses.
a mini raid.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it. It does feel like a mini raid. It just feels so different than any other M Plus experience for me.
Yeah, I mean that's like a lot of uppers in general. Like Rise also kind of felt that way.
Yeah, you're just like boss rushing.
All right. Any I guess no more takes. We have Tettles. Tettles' final choice.
So I'm between a couple of dungeons. So I'm probably gonna take Lower Karazhan.
Yeah, this
I'm
was
not
my other choice.
Super convinced, dude. Some people like Sanguine Depths a lot, but I'm not like super huge on Sanguine Depths in general. I also think a 40-minute dungeon. I don't really want to have a 40-minute dungeon. That stuff kind of sucks. Yeah, I think I'd probably take Lower Karazhan. We're just gonna go with the theme of large trash pulls every single dungeon. Big overall season.
Oh, that's a good season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with Lower Kara. That's fine.
And then we're making Moonkin the BFA Season 2 version of the spec.
I think lower is an insanely good thing, but I also think I'm just looking. I think both of us already turbo lost.
Fine.
I think.
The downside of lower
Turtle's
was
got some
that's
good
like
shit going
it's
on.
like 38 minutes. Some of the trash is kind of, or some of the bosses are kind of meh. But I don't know. What do you guys think about lower in general?
I think it's a good dungeon. Yeah. I think some of the bosses are weird. I think that the disparity between some of the trash pulls as well, like you're just never supposed to pull an attendant and that mob just looks like all the other mobs, and that's really weird for pugs.
Oh, the retainer packs, those
Yeah.
are bad. But then people start going to
that's
that
like-
spider area at the end of the season too, and that
I
was
loved
really
that.
weird.
I feel like
I think the
if you
spider
have
area is good.
Yeah, like some like options of going in the spot, like the 3 different kind of main paths you can take through that dungeon. Although I will admit, usually the path that I saw taken was you kill the first boss and then you wipe at some point and then you jump down the side and you're in the main part of the dungeon the other way.
I mean, I still think the worst part was Opera and the RNG. Well, not RNG, but like the rotation of morals.
Ooh.
Like had those not been on a rotation, it would have made the dungeon significantly better. But the fact that like there was like so many different versions of both those fights makes that dungeon feel so much worse. Like I don't even know what those fights are because like all I did was TGP.
You could
we had the same
rework
ones.
that boss pretty reasonably and make that dungeon a lot better, right? I do think that trap mechanic on that fight, having to like specifically trap some of the mobs on the stage, is also just not very good.
Oh yeah, I mean that entire Morose thing. Just some of them are just way harder than others, right? I mean, actually, how do you guys feel about the rotating thing just in general on both of them, like first boss and Morose? Like the fact that there's something different every week. Do you think that's
Get it out of here.
think it's bad?
Get it out of here. It's too
It's bad,
distinct,
yeah.
and it's also a bad balance. If there was like a way to have it actually be remotely balanced, or like in a way where it's like interesting, but you're not having a massive learning curve, I think it would be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dorky, what is your final pick?
Well, the people-pleasing answer would be Junkyard, but fuck that shit. I'm gonna go with Sanguine Depths.
Dude.
That's my.
I actually respect.
I respect it. Yeah.
I actually respect you doing that because after doing Maw of Souls, which is the opposite of Sanguine Depths, where it's like actually a bad dungeon that people will pick on, this is like making people actually challenge their conviction. Because like through 3 votes, you definitely win because Maw of Souls is a people pleaser and you have Gambit. But like Sanguine Depths, actually I don't know, because remember people's opinion changed. Like when we did a best dungeon titles, you were not here for this, but we did a best dungeons list and Dorky put Sanguine Depths near the top of it, and as he typed it, the entire chat was like, what a fucking bad pick, Sanguine Depths is so fucking bad, whatever. And then Dorky was like, yeah, well, Sanguine Depths is good, and if you think Sanguine Depths is bad, it's because you're bad. And then next week, I put Sanguine Depths on my worst dungeons list, and they were all like, I mean, if you just don't like Sanguine, it's probably because you're bad. I mean, Sanguine W
That is insanely funny.
literally exactly like everyone in chat
if you're a
felt
noob, then I
bullied
guess
by
you might
that.
not like it.
Everyone in chat got bullied by that, so they like changed their entire outlook on the dungeon because Dorky said that. So let's see if that also continues here.
Are you keeping the cages, I guess, for Sanguine Depths?
Oh, 100%.
Like, what would you
Yeah,
change
I
about
think
that key?
What would I change about key? I think the biggest thing I would change is remove that 3-pack in front of the gauntlet. That shit is demonic.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
That pack was demonic.
fucking-
The one that you always, the one you always skipped.
the
Yep.
gargoyle and whatever. And probably just like the tuning overall. Like, I think the dungeon's fine otherwise. Like especially with classes now, You got to keep in mind, like, if we're bringing back this dungeon, imagine doing Sanguine Depths with current DH, current Wrestler Druid, fucking augmentation, and having, like, you know, 50 billion stops. It would actually be an absolute banger. Because you're just doing constant big pulls, and you're able to, like, extend all your buffs. You could probably do, like, some Wernstone shit to, like, extend your buff even more. I don't know. I'm sure you could do, like, so many cool things with lanterns. It's actually
I think that's kind of disconnected.
Dungeon.
I don't think average players are ever extending their buffs.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't like how swingy it felt from like a high key perspective, because like if you ever messed up a lantern, you were just losing the key, and it was a 40-minute dungeon. Like I was not a huge fan of those two.
Yeah, I
things
feel
in
like
it,
combination of long dungeon too is like if you look at the War Within dungeons, they're getting shorter and shorter. So actually putting a long dungeon in your list is going to seem even longer because all of the War Within dungeons are like 3 or 4 bosses. So I think it might stick out. Is that the longest dungeon? That's not the longest dungeon on here, is it?
I think Motherlode might have also been 40 minutes.
Lower is pretty long too, right?
Lower's 38.
Yeah,
Lower's 38.
Motherlode is in the 30s.
Okay, Motherlode is also Motherlode's in 30s. So Sanguine Depths is the only 40.
Cathedral was pretty long, was it? Actually,
Dude,
I swear Lower used to be a 42. Maybe they changed
Dude,
it.
I feel like
Lower was 40 something.
I feel like
maybe
at some
it
point,
was 38 for the most recent time they brought it back.
dude,
maybe.
before this round, I feel like Dorky had it won, but like unless the chat's just gonna like again change their opinion to like that like, oh, I'm not bad. Sanguine Depths is a good dungeon. Unless they do that, I think Dratnos can actually win now. Like I feel like
That's right.
Dratnos having
I've manipulated this from the start.
Streets, Motherlode. Like the thing is, he chose to wait until the last pick of the draft to get a Cat on Mop dungeon, and no one chose to fuck him on that. I actually think you can win.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of hatred for Vault of the Wardens. I think that
Nah,
might
that's
be
a good
disqualifying
dungeon.
for a lot of the
Just
electorate.
big
I think that
junkyard.
dungeon is awful.
I think
That's my
Vault's
personal
good.
thought.
Well, my final pick, and here's where this all sort of falls apart. I played the least WoW of all expansions during Mop and WAD, or Mop and Kata and WAD, that kind of area. So I have a pretty bad like anchor on which of these dungeons are good from back then. So I'm just picking kind of purely based off of vibes from the Kata and Mop era. I'm gonna go with Shadowfang Keep. That place is cool.
This was on my list. I
like it.
I think Shadowfang Keep would be awesome.
I think it's a nifty dungeon. I was looking at the other ones, and like none of the other ones are too nifty feeling. Shadowfang Keep is doing pretty well in my niftiness index, so I'm gonna go with it.
It has a decent amount of trash. The only thing is the mob count would be like exact count. Like there would be no you'd have to definitely make some creative decisions to make it somewhat interesting as to what you're pulling, but that's
Max,
definitely good.
I put a video in the group chat. Can you pull this up?
Guys,
on
I gotta
screen real
go.
Wait,
Oh,
what'd you pull up? What is this? Dratnos.
quick? He has been to Shadowfang Keep. He made it up.
This is a video from 12 years ago.
I gotta go, man. I gotta go.
Video from 12 years ago called Shadowfang Keep featuring Nearby Gamer. There's a video on your YouTube of you just doing Shadowfang
Do you want
Keep.
to have everyone unsub from you?
Wait, are
Go
you
to
talking in it?
channel? Do you want to torture
Yes.
25,000 people?
Just 25,000.
Play Minecraft. That's
More. Wait, Draconian? What a
Why am I
fucking
yelling
guild
Tori?
name.
Must have accidentally clicked on it.
Well, thank
Oh,
you.
you're-
Dratnos of Draconian.
Dude, Dratnos is clicking, bro. He's putting Thunderclap on his bars mid-key.
That is sick.
Oh my god.
Execute. These are
Dude,
the type
did
of
he
people
make
that
this
vote for
guild or
Shadowfang Keep, by the way.
Yo,
It
what's
is
the
a
lore
nifty
behind
dungeon, though. Like,
Draconian?
I don't know. You got like this little area. I don't remember. What do the bosses in there do? God, it's been so long. I remember always having a good time. If you were to poll people on their favorite Kata dungeons, it's got to be Shadowfang Keep's got to be top 3, right? It's way up there.
Yeah,
I just think it'd be
it's
one of the favorite. I just think Lost City of Tolvir would definitely be the best Mythic Plus dungeon. It's laid out like a current Mythic Plus dungeon or a good one.
I actually thought about taking Siege of New Zhao Temple and like reworking that.
No
that wall
fucking
boss.
way.
I think the trash in there. All right, let me cook for a second. I didn't vote for it because I think that people would hate it. I think the trash in there is actually kind of cool. You have the slimes that give you the damage bonus, right? And so you'd actually be able to like stack that up, kind of in a way that you did Sanguine Depths. But you'd have to rework that wall boss. That wall boss is awful.
Yeah, dude, I think Dorky had such going 2 is so OP. Like the fact that you got Gambit at 2 is insane, and only I chose to go Kata Mop before you, and I think Kata Mop have like 2 very, very strong picks. It's Stonecore and Lost City, and Stonecore's like just as good, and you got that later. So you got Gambit second, and you got that second of Kata. I think Mauve Soul's a dog shit pick. I think Sanguine Depth's a dog shit pick, but I think people will agree with Mauve Souls, and you may have gaslit them into believing Sanguine too.
Nah, you just gaslit them.
Dude, I think
Dog
Dratnos.
shit picks.
I think Dratnos you might have lost with Shadowfang. I don't know.
Nah, Shadowfang's good.
I don't know what else you could have picked, but if like
What else? Yeah, what else is there from Mop and Kata? Hour of Twilight.
It's so interesting that we all avoided the wand dungeons because we knew that those were landmines.
I thought I don't think
Dungeon's fucking
Skyreach.
cool,
Okay,
Eternity.
if you do Skyreach and all you do is just speed up the like wind portion of Skyreach, it's a good dungeon.
I think Skyreach.
I didn't like
dude,
Skyreach, it was kind of
that
annoying.
wind area would make Skyreach, I think, my least favorite dungeon of all
Yeah,
time.
just
It's
said like
DOS.
just
on-
juice it.
I guess.
Dungeon just felt annoying in general. I don't know what it was.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, chat vote. Here we go. Doing a poll. I'm actually a little interested to see who wins this one. I've seen a lot of people being Dratnos, Dorki, and Tettles enjoyer in chat. I am definitely gonna lose.
I'll vote for you, Max.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah,
here
I'll
we
vote
go.
for you too.
I do think fourth pick was a pretty hard spot here because
Yeah, I think I got fucked
you get
on
picks
pick.
4 and 5, but like the good stuff is kind of
Yeah, but on
like 1 and 2 are really good. I guess they're you know, you do have the good criteria options.
I
for-
think
yeah.
picks 1 and 2 were definitely super OP. I think 4 maybe could have been better if I chose to use it on the remaining good like non-criteria dungeons. Like I think I just basically
Yeah.
how much better Cathedral and Lost City are than the next best option. I could have gotten something close to that way later, and I could have gotten way better like current dungeons.
It is interesting that both you and Tettles like picked Legion dungeons first, and then also picked Legion dungeons last, right? So it's not like you were getting your Legion pick out of the way. You ended up coming back. to
Yeah,
that
but that's
extension.
because I came back because I was just like, all right, well, look at what's
Yeah.
gone.
Bro,
you know?
what else am I supposed to pick? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You do.
Yeah.
You burn through it real fast.
Yeah, I
I mean,
also.
what would you have picked first then? Are you picking Halls of Atonement?
Halls of Atonement was on my list. Even though I was trashing Maw Souls, I had Maw Souls on my list. Just I don't know, for people pleasing reasons. I had both uppers. I really enjoyed both uppers decently on there. Streets was on there. I had Vault on my Legion, my WoD and Legion list too. I'm surprised people hated that much. I really like Vault. I think Vault's like really underrated.
Vault Speeds.
The thing is though there was definitely like when you think about how people are going to look at, I'll put the poll up in a second, how people are going to look at choices, I think no matter what WoD, Legion, Kata, whatever dungeons you put on there, it's immediately going to be met with, yeah, maybe that could be good. That's like kind of the best case scenario is like, yeah, maybe that could be good. Where like the thing that is the biggest part of someone's list is something they know will be good. Like, oh, that's a banger. Where like 1 and 2,
Yeah.
you like Motherload and Gambit are going to carry so hard for that.
I think that there's going to be a lot of like negative carrying of these, where people are going to look through the 4 and then find the one that has the least offensive, worst option. And
But
vote
I
for
don't
that
think
one.
people. I don't think people are going to vote like that, though, right?
I bet they
even-
will. Like,
even
I think there are going to be people who are going to disqualify Dorkies for Sanguine Depths. They're going to disqualify mine for Vault of the Wardens. They're going to like look at them and they're going to be like,
Dude,
I can't vote for a list
in a
that has
way,
that dungeon in it.
I feel like Tettles might win then.
Yeah,
'cause I
Tettles
feel-
has the least bad,
correct.
worst
Yeah,
dungeon.
if you are
I
someone,
picked DPS dungeons. I literally just picked
Yeah.
DPS dungeons.
if
straight
you
across the
if you
board.
are someone who is like looking at it like, oh, what's the dungeon I would absolutely hate doing, rather than, because some people are just like that, pessimist versus optimist, like versus like, oh, I'm gonna love doing Gambit for a whole season, right? I think you look at Tettles list and you're like, I wouldn't mind doing all of those, rather than, oh wow, I can't wait to do whatever, right? All right, I'm slamming the poll.
Yeah, and for anybody who missed it as well, mine is Streets and Dorkies is Gambit for
Oh,
Tazavesh's.
yeah. And also same with mine. Mine is Karazhan upper and his is low. Well, his says lower, so that should be obvious. Dude, holy fuck, Dorky and Tettles are in a dead heat right now. It's so fucking
Oh
close.
my gosh.
Guys, I present an alternative candidate, a compromise option between Dorky and Tettles. Vote Dratnos 2024.
Yeah. Actually, I'm closer to Dratnos than I thought.
I think picking fourth is really hard.
Yeah, yeah. My copium is that I got fucked with being fourth.
Dude, I actually think
give you
this
a vote,
format was pretty
Max.
good. I was thinking about this for like, I was talking about this on stream today. I was thinking about this for a few days. I didn't know what to do with it, with this idea for this format for snake drafting.
Oh, this is a sick idea. This is a, I don't know how many of the things we've done where you could apply this to it. I mean, you could definitely do this with raid bosses too.
Although the raid bosses, it's like, us and Growl would have no overlaps in the bosses we wanted. Like, I think that what makes this good is that there's pretty strong overlap in what we want, right? And we're kind of just haggling over whether we should pick it first or third.
Yeah.
I think the pick requirement was also pretty good with this, right? Where you had to pick one from.
Yeah, I think adding some stipulations was nice. Although, honestly, I think it was probably less impactful than you'd think, because we did run out of good non-stipulation options, so we ended up going to the expansions that were stipulated anyways.
Dorky does win the poll, and there are exactly 216 people who voted and have all tricked themselves into thinking that Sanguine Depths is a good dungeon.
Holy shit! I actually won for once.
I think that dungeon
Is this your
so
first
hard
win?
for like average players.
Yeah.
Good
Let's
work,
fucking go.
Dorky.
I like Dorky's dungeon pool. I think Dorky's dungeon
Yeah.
pool would be good.
Yeah, Stone Core's definitely good. I
this would be a fun season.
don't think Maw or Sanguine is good, but
No, it'd be a fun.
I will
season.
log the fuck in for like I'm serious. If Gambit was in a dungeon pool, ignoring every single other dungeon, if Gambit alone existed, I would play Mythic Plus for that season. I know I would. I mean, I just every single time I went in that dungeon, it was fun.
Are we running out of dungeons to bring back now? I wonder.
Yeah, that's also a interesting. Well, the thing is like Blizzard knows that, and that's why they're fitting in a few stinkers with each patch. Like they're.
Yeah.
What's the first season of?
yeah. A sprinkle of shit along with your ice cream.
Yeah, like it. I mean, that's true. Aren't they doing
Well, they're doing 3 stinkers in season 1.
Paralysis,
Yeah, Siege of Paralysis, Necrotic Wake,
Scythe, and
Grim Battle. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really hard to confidently say that a Kata dungeon will be a stinker. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest, dude. You could pick any Kata dungeon, any of them, and it could be bad, good, or great, and it just depends on that. Like, what they did with Throne of the Tides makes me think that depending on how much work they put into it, they could make any of those dungeons good because they could just be completely and totally different. So who fucking knows? The Kata dungeons are just like a straight up like Joker card. Like you just have no idea how good they're gonna be.
I think with a full PTR of beta testing or full beta of beta testing, Kata dungeons are more likely to be better as opposed to in between patches where you have only like weirdos beta testing and they don't change anything.
What would be another good snake draft?
Build your own.
You could do it
raid,
and make like
probably.
TGP comps.
You could do TGP comps and you only have like oh, that's actually really interesting. Like, do you choose the tank early? Like, do you send Vengeance DH insta? Do you?
Yes.
I mean,
yes, you do.
Yeah, somebody selects Vengeance Demon Hunter with their first pick, and it's either
That
the
is
first
your
guy or the
101
second guy.
100% of the time. Otherwise, you were throwing.
Yeah, actually,
You're
that's
responsible to not
really
lose
interesting.
from then on out.
Yeah, I like that actually. I think that would be fun. I think even doing what we did already with like, what are the best Mythic Plus dungeons ever? You could just forget the ones that haven't been Mythic Plus dungeons yet. You could just straight up
Yeah, we could just draft
You
our
could
favorite.
just draft your favorite and then see who has the best list. That would actually feel this one. You definitely felt like there's 4 people drafting. There was 2 criteria and 2 that are not criteria, and it felt like there were less than 2 or 3 really solid selections for every single one. And that would not
Raid
be the
end
case.
bosses maybe, and you're only limited to like
so-
mop and up.
So
We
raid,
could do like construct your own class, picking like an offensive, a defensive, a utility, and a movement ability.
God.
Oh, that's interesting.
Class?
No, that's super
Yeah.
interesting. And you could have a list of like all of the major cooldowns
Yeah.
plus like defensives. And yeah, that
Yeah.
actually is like super sick. I think that's really good. And I think someone would definitely take like Death Grip #1.
Death Grip sick.
I think like
A
if
veteran of the Third War. That is the
well,
that is the
Death
pick.
Grip just windmill
Nerd.
dunks every utility, right?
No,
Yeah,
use
well-
Arcane Intellect.
Yeah.
No, that's like
Fortitude.
Raid buff- yeah,
and
we
a
could put
raid
raid
buff.
buffs in
You
there
could
as
you could
well.
add a raid buff. Yeah, you
Yeah.
could have a raid buff section.
I'll take Mark of the Wild.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's actually a really fucking good idea. The guy in my chat who makes these spreadsheets is trembling in fear from the amount of things he would have to put on there. Shout out. Thanks for the content, boys. That was fun. That was fast. That's also a lot faster than top 10s too. So you could actually more of these things. You could actually add more people or more selections. I actually don't think adding more people up to like 5 or 6, depending on which content you do, would actually even be bad. I think it would be potentially good. You just wouldn't want to add it to where it dilutes it dilutes the quality selection of each individual list by a lot. That would be like even
We had a little bit more in the tank here though. Like that, we could have taken a little bit more dungeons.
Oh,
out of
interesting.
this, and it
Actually,
wouldn't have
okay,
changed it that
so
much.
tell me what other dungeons you guys had on your list. I had, I think Mogish and Palace from Cat and Mop is actually a potentially really good Mythic Plus dungeon. I had, what was it? I didn't have, bro, I was like tapped on current dungeons. Like, I mean, you saw Dratnos take Shadowfang Keep his last game. Like, what the fuck would you guys take in the non-criteria dungeons if there was like 1 or 2 more selections?
I didn't love the Shadowlands. I was looking at the Shadowlands dungeons, and I was like, I'm not in love with many of these.
Like here, just for the sake of argument, let's say you guys, if everyone starting from Dratnos again, we all had to select 4 dungeons just as a thought exercise, what would you guys select? You could pick any dungeon.
Arcway. I'd probably end up taking Arcway.
See, that's that's
Yeah.
tough, right? Like I don't know about
it's
that.
not. Listen, I'm not feeling good about it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like
Just-
none of these. Like,
I'm taking it.
would anyone make a selection here and feel good about it?
I think you could take like Blood Maul Slag Mines.
That's a reach.
That's
yeah.
just a stinker.
You take
It's just
Junkyard
old
and,
dungeons, man.
you
I don't know. Like
other
they,
people.
they could bring back Blood Maul Slag Mines, and maybe it would be great because if they were going to bring back something that far, they would just change a ton of shit. That's
Yeah,
I'm so
at this point, like that's what any of these, like that's what Shadowfang Keep is as well, right? Like
Yeah.
any of these picks is basically like yeah, I like the architecture. Let's see what the new tenants do with the place.
Why did you
I think
make a
that-
YouTube video of this?
I was making YouTube videos back then, man. I was a YouTuber.
Yeah, but like
I was doing WoW between my Minecraft videos.
okay, but like what was the purpose of this? You're just resizing your UI
Yeah.
mid dungeon.
I didn't know how to make interesting videos yet. I was just making videos.
This has 700 views. That's insane.
That's right.
Don't
I was
say that.
owning.
He still
I was
doesn't know how
popping
to make
off.
interesting
Yeah, that was
videos.
owning back then.
Oh, she has got a
Yeah.
Facebook link too.
That's right. Log in.
Wait, really? Click on
Can you
that.
explain Draconian?
That's right.
Or
It's like the word draconian, but it's got drat in it, which was my name starts with drat, so it was
So
cool
you're just
because
naming it guild after
Are
yourself.
all the people
That's
you're
right.
queuing with part of the Dratconian clan?
I don't remember. One of them was another like YouTube guy.
Let's see. This guy.
They're all
Yeah,
fans.
This guy. Two of these people are both in Dratconian.
that's right. I had a following. It was a cult of personality.
Oh my god, that guy's name is Nearby Gamer, and the warrior's name is Nearby Wife.
That's right. that was guy
nearby
and
his wife. Nearby his wife. Yeah.
Yeah,
the old husband wife dungeon duo.
That is.
that was a powerful combo back in the day.
Do any
Still
of
is.
those exist at high level Mythic Plus? Have you guys ever run into a like tandem husband wife high Mythic Plus group?
One of the
Sense
guilds
his
on my
wife.
server has their two tanks are husband and wife. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, Sense and Soul. Or
Sense
married.
and Soul. Yeah.
That is hype.
God, married. I don't know, dude. I'm trying to think of any other.
Yeah. Dude,
Maybe
I
not
don't know.
married, but couples.
If I had another pick and it was purely just my list, like, but wait, aren't they bringing Mist back? Mist of Tyr to Scythe?
Yeah.
you can-
Yeah, I mean, I actually like that dungeon. Every time I did that season, I enjoyed it. But I know that people
I thought
hate
that pick was
dungeon.
off limits.
It is
I
off
don't know.
limits.
Yeah,
I
I think
just
it-
it
I
is
think
off
it is.
limits. The only reason I said I was gonna pick is because I actually didn't know they were bringing it back. What are the chances that Siege of Borealis isn't bad?
I think there's a
30%.
I mean,
I mean, like,
I
what?
don't think it's about the dungeon, maybe.
yeah, like,
it's
there-
about what they do.
Exactly, like okay, one of the things in favor of Siege is that a lot of the most offensive stuff is pretty easy to fix, like spotter nonsense.
The last boss
Alliance
isn't
and
easy
Horde
to
having
fix.
different dungeons, like those are easy fixes, right?
Last boss stinks really bad. I don't
Yeah,
know.
last boss does stink bad, but last boss stinks bad in a sort of similar way to Halls of Infusion last boss, so maybe they've got the recipe.
Oh,
but
true.
Part of the problem with the last boss of that dungeon too wasn't just the tyrannical scaling on the tentacles, but it was also like you had to tiptoe around the tentacles because if you walked too close to the Dominator tentacle, then it would activate, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was.
I
a
suspect
huge-
that will not work anymore.
I also didn't like how tyrannical on the second boss, whenever she jumped on that ship, tyrannical versus fortified was like minutes longer.
Yeah.
That was really bad. And then there was like Horde versus Alliance. Like surely that goes
That's
away
easy
too,
to
right?
fix, yeah. And in fact, I feel like that's mandatory to fix with cross-faction groups now, because
Well,
otherwise,
what do you
like,
think they're gonna do? Do you think they're just gonna default it to just
Yeah,
like
just
the
default it
Horde?
to one or the other, probably the Horde version, but because
You get the Alliance version, that's 3 key levels harder.
I
the
feel
Alliance
like-
version was so messed up.
I feel like they're not gonna do that. Like I feel like it matters to them that it's different for.
Well, but nowadays
Nah,
most
there's
groups
no
have a
shot.
member of the Horde and the Alliance, so that would turn Siege into like, okay, make sure we pass lead to our Horde player, reset, zone in.
Yeah, it
and
does
get the Horde
sound cursed.
version.
The one nice thing about Siege, at least, is it gives an old dungeon for people to do. Because like this season, when you have all 8 new dungeons, it's just like way too fucking much. The dungeon is just like overloaded with shit, amount of trash mechanics and boss mechanics and stuff.
In general, I would be looking to make a lot less.
Yeah.
Have a lot fewer mechanics just in general. I think it's just so hard to like really, dude. Pugging Noku defensive, I'd rather not play like than pug a Noku defensive. Like we know that somebody's dying to the cast going off. Like people aren't gonna press stops or kicks or anything.
Dude, I can't get something out of my head. When I posted Lower as one of my favorite Mythic Plus dungeons ever, which is true, I fucking love Lower Karazhan. The chat was filled with, "That's so bad. I fucking hate Lower Kara. Fuck that. Bad dungeon. Bad pick." And then Tettles picked it today, and everyone was saying W, lower great, lower good.
Tettles W.
I'll literally pull up the chat from other videos. I'm positive that is what happened too. I wonder if there's just like people that just like, if I just pick something, they're just gonna be like, nah, bro. Like fucking just no.
Yeah, it's crazy because there's like a lot of streamers have a lot of different haters or whatever, but it's weird because yours are in your own chat.
Yeah. I don't fucking. I'm
He's
gonna
a hate watch farmer.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna be in one of these, or I'm gonna win one of these one day. It's gonna be fucking legendary. I think I'm the only one who hasn't won. I think Growl's won, Dorki's won, Dratnos has won. So I haven't won. Not only have I not won, I've been the last place selection on all of them but one of them.
It was easy. You just gotta be
That's tough
fake as
for me.
hell.
That's right.
You gotta be what? Did you
Fake
just
as hell.
Oh, fake. I thought you said thick. And I was like, what?
Oh yeah. You just gotta be fake
You
as
just gotta
hell,
be
too.
you just gotta be thick as fuck. Well, now that I brought it up, now chat's gonna make it a bit, and they're just gonna be like, fucking fuck you.
I think that you got dealt no favors this time with the fourth pick.
Yeah, I still don't know if I were to go back in time. I wonder if I like even choose what could I have chose with my first and second pick as the fourth and fifth total pick if I didn't go for criteria? Because I confidently
Halls of Atonement probably.
Halls of Atonement. What, like streets? Halls of Atonement streets? Is that the best?
All streets junkyard.
Well, I can't do all three of those, or two of the three. I still feel like I turbo lose. Like I would just like those don't pop off the screen, and then my kata and whatever after that would just be worse than Cathedral and Lost City. I don't know. I feel like you still get owned. That's the cope. The cope is picking fourth is hard.
We should do one of these where in advance we swap who is doing like which list, and then we see if it's
I
like
could
you 'cause
already
they hate you.
I could already guarantee you that if we did the ones we've done so far and just did a Twitter poll with just the things, I guarantee you mine would have more of a percentage votes than it did when I'm doing it on my stream. 100%. So such is life.
All right, I gotta run. GG's.
GG.
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 GG.